The scent of expensive cologne and work exhaustion mixed with the delicate perfume of the Phalaenopsis orchids I was arranging on the veranda. After 10 years of marriage, my husband, Brendan Thorne, was leaving for what he called a critical 15-day business trip to survey land for a new resort in the Hamptons. He warned me, "For security reasons, don't call or text me for these next 15 days. I'll have my phone off." I, Leela Torres, nodded, giving him the practiced smile of an understanding wife, hiding the cold distance I felt. 10 years ago, I gave up my career as an ambitious landscape architect at Torres and Finch Designs to become the solid foundation at home he demanded. My sacrifice led to years of his indifference and coldness. 3 days after Brendan left, the silence of the Highlands estate was shattered by a series of transaction alerts on my phone. They were from Brendan's corporate platinum card, the one I used to pay our bills. My heart seized when my eyes focused on the details. A $4,800 payment at Lumiere Bistro. Lumiere Bistro. That name hit me like a physical shock. 6 months earlier, for our 10th anniversary, I had begged Brendan to take me there, describing it as romantic with a beautiful view. He had dismissed the idea, calling it ridiculous and a place where idle rich folk go just to show off, citing the high price. Our anniversary was spent quietly at home. But today, my husband, supposedly doing a geological survey in the Hamptons, was in Atlanta, paying a $4,800 tab. I called the bank. The transaction was confirmed as a successful payment at Lumiere Bistro in the Highlands, Atlanta. He lied. The chilling thought stabbed my heart. After the initial tremor, an eerie calm set in. I knew screaming would only result in a more elaborate lie. I needed the truth and someone who could act. I called Jada Reyes, my friend from college, who was now a sharp, independent lawyer who despised hypocrisy. I cut straight to the point. 15 minutes ago, the corporate card was used to pay $4,800 at Lumiere Bistro in the Highlands. Jada's professional calm instantly took over. That stinks. What century is this that it's a secret even from his wife? I sent her the necessary information. I needed her to investigate the reservation list or CCTV footage to find out who Brendan was entertaining. I knew from that moment my life would never be the same. I couldn't sleep that night. Every tick of the grandfather clock in the living room echoed the emptiness in my heart. I tried to cling to weak hopes. Maybe it was an important client or a female CEO. But my phone shattered those illusions around 10 p.m. It was a WhatsApp message from Jada Reyes. It wasn't a text, it was a warning. Breathe deep. Sit down in a chair and then open it. I opened the file Jada sent. A 30-second video that was enough to end my 10-year marriage. The video, likely recorded surreptitiously at Lumiere Bistro, showed Brendan Thorne. He was relaxed, sitting across from a very young woman with long light brown hair in a wine-colored silk dress. I recognized her instantly. Mina Scott, the new intern at Brendan's company. I had met her casually 3 months ago when I brought Brendan lunch. But in this video, the intimacy was blatant. Brendan was using a silver fork to carefully place a large piece of lobster on Mina's plate. He was smiling with a sweetness and affection I hadn't seen in years. Mina leaned over the table and used her finger to wipe sauce near Brendan's mouth. Brendan didn't pull away. He took her hand and kissed it. The video confirmed a deep, secret relationship. He was using my money and the corporate card that I had given him for work convenience to spoil a woman half my age. The pain was there, but strangely, I couldn't cry. My tears had dried up long ago. I felt nausea and a profound disgust. I slid down the cold wall, realizing the Highlands estate was just a gilded cage. I was a bird who had locked herself in while the owner went out to find another, younger bird. Jada called again, furious. "That damn bastard," she cursed, identifying Mina as the intern. "I don't need you to be my friend," I told her, my voice unnervingly calm. "I need you to be my lawyer. You need to be colder than I am." Jada immediately shifted into professional mode. My marriage had died in those 30 seconds. My first order was ruthless. Prepare the procedures to immediately freeze all of our joint accounts. I stressed that I, the primary cardholder, suspected Brendan was committing fraud and using marital property for illegal purposes. The exact terms Jada advised me to use to force the bank's emergency intervention. I didn't wait for Brendan to call back. I immediately contacted the director of preferred customer services at our executive bank. My voice was calm, allowing no interruptions. My first instruction: immediately cancel the auxiliary credit card, Brendan's platinum card, reading the numbers I had memorized from years of paying statements. My second, and more crucial demand, was to apply an emergency measure to temporarily freeze all transactions on our 3 joint accounts: checking, stock, and a large deposit. I gave the bank the precise legal trigger. I, the principal owner, had sufficient reason to suspect Brendan Thorne was using the joint assets for illegal purposes and committing fraud. The bank director, panicked by the words fraud and illegal, immediately complied with the temporary block, requesting I come in to sign the documentation at 8 a.m. the next morning. I had successfully cut off his financial lifeline. The $4,800 appetizer at Lumiere Bistro was proving very expensive. The expected backlash arrived that night. My phone, which I ignored, received 66 missed calls, not calls of affection, but of sheer rage and panic that he could no longer spend money. When I finally listened to the voicemail, Brendan screamed, demanding I reactivate the card and accusing me of being a crazy woman who was humiliating him. There was no regret, only fury that I had dared to cut off his cash flow. When I finally called him back, my voice was cold and clear. I asked him how his ultra-secret geological survey in the Hamptons had managed to fly all the way to Lumiere Bistro in Atlanta. Cornered, he resorted to aggression, accusing me of spying. I delivered the second bombshell. The Highlands estate? I put it up for sale. We'll probably sign the escrow contract this weekend. After hanging up, I knew my battle had escalated beyond simple infidelity. I entered Brendan's private study, a room he always claimed was his private space that I shouldn't touch. Using the spare key I knew he kept under the money plant, I opened his locked desk drawer. I found bank statements for numerous accounts I never knew existed. His actual salary was 5 times the amount he told me. I wasn't his wife. I was a luxury housekeeper, paid a meager amount to maintain the mansion while he built another life with his mistress. My eyes fixed on a recurring transfer record. $2,500 transferred regularly on the 15th of every month for 2 years to an unknown person named Ms. Odessa Jones. Tallying the transfers, the number hit me. $60,000. He was transferring the exact same amount he gave me for household expenses to another woman. This wasn't lust. This was systematic, long-term maintenance. I immediately sent screenshots of the $60,000 in transactions to Jada with a single request. Jada, investigate what kind of monster Ms. Odessa Jones is and what that man maintained with my $60,000 for the last 2 years. I stood under the shower, the hot water doing nothing to warm the cold rage that permeated my body. The $60,000 transferred over 2 years to Miss Odessa Jones felt like a punch, not of lust, but of cold, calculated disregard. He wasn't just having an affair, he was systematically funding a second life. As soon as I emerged from the bathroom, my phone rang. It was Jada Reyes, and her voice was trembling with furious disbelief. "Are you sitting or standing right now?" Jada almost yelled. "Sit down right now. Miss Odessa Jones—" Jada paused, trying to restrain a curse. "She is Mina Scott's mother!" My phone fell onto the rug, but the truth exploded in my ears. The mother of the 20-year-old intern. The $2,500 a month wasn't just for Mina, it was supporting her entire family. Brendan was acting as a son to his mistress's mother with my money. "That bastard," Jada ranted. "He was maintaining not only his mistress, but the whole family. He was using your hard-earned money, the money you sacrificed by giving up Taurus and Finch Designs, to support another family." My voice was eerily calm. "I understand. He hasn't been my husband for a long time. He's been a thief and a con artist." The tears were gone. Only cold, hard rage remained. "Jada, prepare the divorce papers. I don't just want a divorce. I want it all. I'll make him pay for these 10 years of youth. Principal plus interest." I arrived at Jada's office, composed and dressed in the white suit I wore for my first major design project. I was here as a business partner. Jada was ready to file, but she checked the property register one last time for the urgent sale of the Highlands estate. "Leela," Jada said, her voice suddenly grave, "come see this." A premonition worse than the name Odessa Jones awoke in my heart. Jada pointed to the fine print on the title deed information. "Your house is mortgaged." "Mortgaged? It doesn't make sense. I didn't sign any document." I screamed. "The house was my parents' money." "They mortgaged it to borrow $750,000, Jada revealed. The number was a bullet to my head. $750,000 requires my signature? I am a co-owner. Never! Jada held my shoulders. "Look at the date of the mortgage. 6 months ago." 6 months ago, Brendan came home excited about a golden opportunity and an internal investment project. He brought a thick folder of technical jargon, pointed to an X, and told me to sign quickly, assuring me it was just an internal guarantee procedure. I trusted him. I signed. "He conned you," Jada whispered. "He used your parents' house, your assets, to borrow $750,000. He was preparing his life. He was going to leave with that $750,000 and his young mistress, leaving you with a foreclosed house and a gigantic debt." The $4,800 meal at Lumiere Bistro wasn't a mistake. It was a celebration of his successful fraudulent deal. He didn't just want to leave me, he wanted to destroy me. This is no longer a civil case. This is a crime. Your husband is a criminal, fraud and embezzlement. The chilling reality hit me. The $750,000 mortgage debt was not just about infidelity. It was a premeditated crime. Brendan wanted to destroy me by leaving me with a mountain of debt. My priority shifted from revenge to survival. I had to sell the Highlands estate immediately to the Atlanta client who offered 90% cash. Selling the house was no longer about asset division in a divorce. It was an urgent necessity to pay the illegal $750,000 debt to the bank before they foreclosed. If I failed, I would lose the house, my parents' gift, and be responsible for the debt for life. I called Curtis, the real estate agent, and canceled all other showings. I am selling it to the Atlanta client. I need the cash. The sooner, the better. Meanwhile, Brendan was still trapped overseas without money, his rage turning to desperation. His attempts to reach me shifted from screams and threats to pitiful pleas. He sent messages trying to evoke sympathy, mentioning our 10 years of marriage and claiming he was so hungry and trapped. He even attempted to barter our shared history for a plane ticket and forgiveness. I saw this as a final, repulsive act of manipulation and exploitation. I saved all his messages, the threats, the pathetic pleas, and the lies as evidence of his financial predicament and deceit. The betrayal was compounded when I received a WhatsApp message from a blocked number. It was Mina Scott, the mistress. Initially, she sent a provocative photo taken on a 5-star yacht, showing Brendan shirtless in the reflection of her sunglasses. This confirmed they were still spending money and celebrating their successful fraud. My cold rage was my only emotion left. I realized the $4,800 meal at Lumiere Bistro was not an error, but a celebration of his successful $750,000 fraud. When Mina, desperate after the accounts were frozen, messaged again, begging for me to save her, I knew she was a rat fleeing a sinking ship. She offered to turn over crucial evidence, double contracts and tax evasion documents that would make Brendan go to jail. The enemy of my enemy was now my greatest asset. I replied coldly, agreeing to meet her at Jada Reyes's office in Atlanta, demanding she bring the evidence. The fight was now fully a criminal case.
The next morning, I arrived at Jada Reyes's office, calm and resolute, wearing a white suit as if defending a new project. I was ready to finalize the divorce petition, but Jada was preparing a far bigger scene. The meeting room was tense. In front of us sat Mr. Atticus Hayes, the solemn attorney for the J Capital Investment Fund, the institution Brendan defrauded. Brendan Thorne arrived late, disheveled and miserable. Seeing Mr. Hayes, Jada, and me sitting across from him, his panic expression froze. "Sit down," Jada snapped, pointing to a chair for the accused. Jada began the presentation with ruthless efficiency. The large screen lit up, showing the evidence. The Lumiere Bistro video where he kissed Mina Scott. The $2,500 monthly transfers to Mina's mother, Mrs. Olson, totaling $60,000. The Highlands Estate mortgage contract for $750,000. The signature analysis revealing the mortgage consent was either falsified or obtained while I was non-compliant. The final crushing slide. The double contracts and tax evasion documents provided by Mina Scott. Brendan sat panting, unable to deny the overwhelming evidence. Mr. Hayes then spoke. "Mr. Thorne, I officially report Mr. Thorne for commercial fraud and embezzlement of funds against J Capital. He has deceived us for 5 years." Brendan collapsed, trying to crawl out of his chair to kneel before me. "Lila, save me. Tell Mr. Hayes. Save me 10 years. It's 10 years." I looked at him, the man who was crawling like a miserable dog. "The person you have to talk to is not us," I said. The door opened. 2 uniformed officers and 2 plainclothes detectives from the Economic Crimes Unit entered. "Mr. Kellen Thorne, we received a report for your tax evasion and fraud," the commander stated, showing his ID. Brendan's desperate gaze turned to one of extreme hatred, but it was too late. 2 cold silver handcuffs closed around his hands. My 10 years of marriage, my wasted youth, and my discarded career officially concluded with the dry clack of those handcuffs.
With Brendan arrested, I finally had silence. But the silence didn't last long, as I knew his desperate mother, Victoria Thorne, Mama Delilah, would intervene. An hour after my call with Brendan, my phone rang. The screen showed Mother. Without a greeting, Victoria's miserable crying poured into my ear. This was an act I had seen for 10 years, using tears to resolve conflict, always forcing me to apologize. Since I didn't react, her crying stopped abruptly. She switched to a sharp tone. "Are you going to keep playing dumb? Brendan just called me and he was crying. He said you froze his card and his account. How could you be such an unreasonable and inconsiderate woman?" "Mother, am I the unreasonable one?" I cut in. "He told me he went to the Hamptons to investigate, but he used my hard-earned $4,800 to dine at a luxury restaurant in Atlanta with another woman." Victoria, unaware of the costlier details, quickly changed tactics, trying the old script. Honey, you have to understand, men can't fall into temptation. Maybe he made a temporary slip-up. You have to close the door and resolve it privately, sweetie. Patience is a woman's virtue. Slip-up? I laughed coldly. Where is there a $4,800 slip-up? I sacrificed my career at Torres and Finch Designs to serve at home, and he's using my money to entertain a young woman half my age. Victoria became vicious. If you don't reactivate the accounts now, don't blame me for becoming a wicked woman. I'm coming to your house right now. I hung up. Their defense was rotten to the core. They defended the crime and took my sacrifice for granted. The next day, the persuasive calls started. Brendan's cousin, his best friend, and former college friends all called, advising me to be patient, to forgive, and to avoid a scandal that would make people laugh at our family. I realized they didn't live my life. They were outside judges. I turned off my phone, fed up with the hypocritical advice. My phone later chimed with a message from an unknown number. It was Mina Scott, baby Nia, the mistress, sending a provocative photo taken on a yacht with Brendan in the reflection. She was trying to provoke me into an emotional scene. I did two things silently: saved the photo as evidence and blocked her number. My fight was a legal battle, not a social media drama. My resolve hardened. I wasn't just leaving Brendan. I was rebuilding my own empire. I began drawing a new design for a rooftop garden, my first sketch for a new life. My fight wasn't a response to emotion, but a calculated legal move. After the arrest, I lived in silence for 2 days, organizing the documents for the emergency house sale and relaunching my former firm, Torres and Finch Designs. I was tired of threats and pleas, but on the third day, a WhatsApp message arrived from a blocked number. The account name was Mina Scott, baby Naya. It wasn't a photo or a provocation. It was 3 desperate words. Ms. Leela, save me. Mina sent a long, frantic paragraph. That man tricked me. Brendan is not human. He hit me. He locked me in the hotel. He said if I didn't get him money, he would sell me. Mina, realizing her gold mine had run out, was fleeing not only Brendan, but the chaos she helped create. The ultimate betrayal was her offer. Ma'am, I know you're going to sue him. I have what you need. I have evidence, double contracts, tax evasion documents. He said it was his biggest secret. Mina was a rat fleeing a sinking ship, selling her former companion for a low price. I, however, needed a tool. I replied, coldly, Monday at 3 in the afternoon, my lawyer's office. Get back to Atlanta however you can, bring the evidence, we will talk. 6 months later, justice was served. Brendan Thorne was sentenced to a total of 18 years for charges including fraud for embezzling the $750,000 mortgage money from me, fraud against J Capital, and tax evasion. His life of greed and falsehood earned him a long prison sentence. His mother, Victoria Thorne, suffered a stroke and was paralyzed, a consequence of defending her son's crimes. Mina Scott, due to her confession and the return of the $60,000 support money Brendan gave her mother, received a suspended sentence for complicity. She disappeared from the city, returning to her hometown. I sold the Highlands estate to the Atlanta client, using the cash to immediately pay off the illegal $750,000 debt, saving me from foreclosure. My life was no longer defined by the betrayal. I opened the official office of Torres and Finch Designs. I had lost the $30,000 orchid garden, but I recovered my entire heaven. My new life was a testament to the fact that I had recovered my ambition, my worth, and the smell of freedom. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.